interference has been when the results of the injury to the animal has been caused by that of man, or if the animal is endangered. So you typically just have to hold back and keep watching. In this case, Hannah, there's nothing we could do. That young duiker is paralyzed, and it would be completely wrong to, even if we did have the potential to help, we would be interfering massively with Mother Nature's plans. And who knows what her plans are for this duiker. Now, you're not going to believe where you're about to be taken to. And I guess I'm just going to leave you to stew with that thought on your trip across. Enjoy.
Might be somewhere around.
Guys, look at this. Lions, finally. It's the first time we've seen lions since the 24th of December. And it looks to be 3 lionesses of the Nkuhuma pride. And can you believe we were sitting with that herd of buffalo for half an hour this morning, and we left them, and the Nkuhumas came and caught one. So our timing was a bit off, but luckily here you can see it's a young sub-adult buffalo. They've been making short work of it. Isn't that great? Lion and leopard on the same drive. And both animals have got kills this morning. Isn't that wonderful? And I know a lot of you guys really excited to see the Nkuhuma pride. I know it's a big favorite of a lot of the viewers, and I don't think this is the first time I've seen it in probably 2 months. Yeah, you? More. Yeah. So obviously not the full pride here at the moment, only just 3 lionesses. So happy kitties all abound on Djuma Private Game Reserve this morning. Oh, there's a male here as well, right at the back. We'll go have a look just now. I did think Ephraim saw them with a Birmingham male yesterday.
Where do you see the male?
Behind the little ladle. So you got him there.
I think he's obscured from my position.
Now if you zoom in and slightly to the right. There, zoom in there. Zoom. And up a little bit. There's his belly there. You see him heavily panting. And you'll probably find he ate the majority of this baby buffalo. Look at this beautiful light. Lovely early morning light. If you guys hear a few clicks, don't worry, it's just me and my camera. And don't forget to take screenshots and share them on our Facebook page, Safari Live, or pop them up onto Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. Is being a comedian this morning and making a play on a terrible song from the 90s and says, "Who let the lions out?" And James Richard is saying the lion drought has ended, and that it has, finally. We were joking around in camp last night, Scott and myself, and we forgot what lions look like. We decided they were cat-like animals, but we weren't 100% sure. Now this morning I can definitely say they are cat-like animals, and going one step further, they are cats. You see how she's getting right into the joint there. Using her premolars and molars. So unlike our molars and premolars that are quite flattened, lions are sharpened, and the premolars are often used as cutting teeth. And you imagine a very strong set of side cutters or pliers, but with a more jagged edge being utilized to often cut open the skin of animals and also get pieces of meat off. There we go, see how she turns her head to the side, and those big white teeth, the canines, those are used more for the killing. So Brenda in Virginia has noticed that the lioness is missing an upper right canine. Brenda, lions break their teeth quite regularly, and it's not unusual to see a lion missing a canine or two. Lovely soft light. Well, we'll come back to these girls in a minute or two. Let's go see which male that is. Morning, madam. Natasha would like to know if it could be Junior. I would say it's very unlikely to be Junior. I would say it's more likely to be one of the Birmingham boys. And hopefully, after this incredible amount of instability with all the lions, with the new takeover of the males, the Matimbas moving out and the Birmingham boys moving in, that we could be looking forward now to a sort of an era of a little bit more stability. And I know a lot of you are going to be wondering, are we going to get cubs soon? I don't think so. We're probably only going to be getting cubs if the Nkuhumas have started mating with Birminghams over the last sort of 3 months, add another 3 months, so at earliest probably end of June, maybe even as late as October, we might be seeing first cubs from the Nkuhumas. So what lionesses do when new males come into an area is that they will come into what is a false estrus, and they will do that to ensure that the males, oh look at that, isn't that perfect timing? And I think that definitely looks like one of the Birmingham boys. You can see he's definitely been feeding. You can see the buffalo blood on his face and that fat belly. So he definitely ate the majority of what that little buffalo. There's that big belly. Hello, big man. Nice to have you visiting. So, as I was saying, so females come to a false estrus, so they will mate with the new males, but it's very seldom that will actually end in cubs. And the reason they do this is they don't want these males to now be kicked out in sort of a very short time, 2-3 months again. Oh, boof, back to sleep. So there we go, one of the Birmingham boys with a big belly. Finish up on those lion estrus, so they'll go into that false estrus, the males will mate with them, but they won't produce any cubs, and that's in case that these lions get ousted very quickly. So only in that second estrus cycle, once the new males have become established, will they actually start producing cubs. And Kobe, who's our new viewer, asking another question today. It says, what is a lion's favorite part? Is it the bones? Is it the meat? Well, generally, Kobe, it is, they'll go for certain of the internal organs first, specifically the liver, the heart, lungs, very high in iron and other nutrients. The amber eyes, yes, it is amber eyes. It looks like the one with her back to us here.
Well, Brent's just lost signal, but that's not a problem because we are in such luck today. Finally, some lions, and not just any old lions, the Nkahuma Pride, one of the Birmingham boys, and a kill. So fascinating stuff. Karula's getting very comfortable here, as you can see, and other than the odd little noise that she is hearing every now and then, which gets her head up, she's been snoozing. The baby duiker is still alive. It's not bleating as much as it was before. It's gone silent, and it leads me to a good point that I hadn't thought of earlier, and I believe was raised by Paul. And Paul and myself are both wondering, has she not specifically left this duiker alive with the knowledge that by its bleats that it lets out, it could well call its parents back into the area, allowing Karula another opportunity to make an easy kill? And I've never seen this happen before, but it certainly is possible, and I think it's what this old experienced female has done. She knows from experience that the bleat of a baby duiker will often cause its parents to return. And leopards aren't the only animals to do this. There's various tribes that hunt in jungles in Africa and abroad that will do similar things, and they'll even simulate the bleat of an antelope, knowing that it will attract possibly not even parents, but even other antelope in the area who are simply curious to know what has happened to a certain area. So I think that's the science behind her cruel yet effective technique of luring in even more easy meals. Well, the good news is that Brent has regained signal and the lions are busy taking a snack.
Sorry about that. Seems like a gremlin decided to visit us. But we're still with 3 members of the Nkahuma Pride. And Lucy was asking about Amber Eyes, and Amber Eyes is the lion on the head at the moment. Looking at... There we go. There's Amber Eyes. And it looks like this lion is probably going to go look for a bit of shade. Margaret in Kansas is wondering whether this is from the herd this morning. Well, Margaret, what happened, it is from the herd this morning. We were sitting with the herd, and after we left them, the lions came through. So at least my ears weren't lying, we were in the right spot. Oh, tired kitty. Happy kitty, full belly. Time for a snooze. Isn't this stunning? Scott says, everyone phone your friends quickly. We've got lions again. So the drought is over. Hopefully they hang around for a little bit. The one major problem from where we are now is that the closest water is back across our eastern boundary. So it'll be very interesting to see if they decide to head further into Djuma, or they do head back north or back east. So the closest water from where we are now is the Djuma waterhole, and that is quite far. Sorry guys, just gotta turn the radio up a little bit. Ephraim's left, so we're the only one there, so we need to, if someone wants to come here, we've got to let them know what's going on. So lions are not dependent on water, but they quite often like to drink water after they've finished a carcass. They'll often go for a drink after they've finished a big meal. And they actually need to, they can get enough blood.
Shame, apologies for the shaky signal on Brent's vehicle, but I'm enjoying you guys popping back in for a visit and a check-in on Karula every now and then, so it's not a huge problem. As you came across to us, Karula poked up ahead again. It's been predominantly flat on the ground, and we can show you the little duiker. It's still in the same place. I know a lot of you have been phoning your friends and spreading the word about the huge luck that we're having on Safari Live this morning. So thank you for that, and good idea from Brent. The duiker straight in the middle there, Tebs. If you just zoom straight in, there we go. Not easy to see. It's kind of below that main green branch. So it is still in there. Still alive, sadly, in there. You can see it struggling. And let's hope that it doesn't struggle for too much longer before Karula decides to put it out of its misery. But judging from her behavior, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. As I said, she's been predominantly head on the ground until she hears a strange noise. But she is probably hoping to be the duiker's parents in search of it. But she will again be cautious. She'll know that these noises may have attracted animals, and even her scent trail will attract hyena that are passing through the area, that will come in and just see that there's not an easy meal lying around, which in this case there is. So if a hyena does arrive, we are certain to get some good action. You may have heard a loud kind of drone temporarily there, and there was a massive wasp called the spider hunting wasp flying around us. They've got what sounds to be a diesel engine, and they are incredibly powerful, hence that loud drone that you hear. And the reason they need to be powerful is that they hunt large spiders, essentially African tarantulas. We call them baboon spiders here, but they are part of the tarantula family. So that's what you may have heard there. Julia Smith in Houston has noticed that Karula's nipples are protruding, and she's wondering whether that's always been the case or whether that is a sign that she could be pregnant. Now, old female like this is approaching 12 years of age. I'm told she turns 12 in, I think, March, or there and thereabouts. But an old female like this will have very prominent nipples, as would a lioness. And I'm not going to continue this. I'd let Brent finish this question off. Or I'll finish it off later. We need to get you across to the lions.
So the males just got up and walked to a different piece of shade, a little bit closer. So quite fortunately, we can now have visual of both without having to move the vehicle. Unfortunately, we're not sure why we're having these gremlins invading us at the moment. VM thinks we might have managed to create some magic to stop it. Oh, time to go to sleep. Ladies are still feeding, or two of them at least. And they do love a buffalo, lions. Especially since it's very, very dry. We haven't. The buffalo are moving huge distance between food and water during these very dry times. It obviously puts a little bit of strain on them. So you do find during the winter season, our dry season, and now that we're in a bit of a drought, or we're in a big drought at the moment, the lions are killing a lot more buffalo. So I'm not exactly sure which Birmingham boy that is. Natasha was wondering. I don't think it's Scrapper or Tsotsi, as he's also known. And so there's an old scar on the back of that lioness. So it could be from fighting for food. So when we had a look at that male, Nigel, Jen B and Jen were admiring his battle scars. That's a sort of a sign of a proper male lion. All those scars, if you look at zoo lions and captive bred lions, they lack that character that a wild lion has. And he's got to fight for his spot in the sun. And the life of a male lion, or life of a lion in general, is a very violent one. But they've got incredible capacity to heal, and what we would often consider to be a massive injury is just a couple of weeks of limping and stiffness for a lion. So Kay and Nigel are wondering whether this kill will attract other animals like hyenas. It might attract some vultures because it is out in the open as it gets warmer and the vultures start moving. But it's unlikely to attract hyenas. They might come in and have a look, so it will attract them. But if they get a glimpse of a male lion anywhere near it, that's it. They will move away. So a group of hyenas will happily harass a group of lionesses, but as soon as you add a male lion into the equivalent, the hyenas know they are outgunned severely. Certain male lions that I've seen in my travels around Africa, particularly one up in northern Botswana, for some reason actually just absolutely hated hyenas, and would often, the one morning I think we found 6 dead hyenas. He basically stalked and killed them all the way down the road. And where we went, there was just another dead hyena, another dead hyena. When it comes to the predators, the male lion is by far the top of the food chain. These guys probably weigh around 190 kilograms. A very big male lion can weigh up to 230 to 250 kilograms. And the largest wild male lion ever recorded was from Namibia, which was just under 300 kilos. Absolute beast. I'm going to try and remember the maths now. So if I remember, 90 kilograms is about 100 pounds. So we're looking, these guys are probably 200, 220 pounds. Is that right?
No.
180 kilos. 220 pounds?
Closer to 400.
Closer to 400 pounds. Oh, sorry, VM. Maths is not my strong point. Fortunately, looking for lions is. Although a big thank you to Ephraim for finding for us this morning. So what happened is we left that buffalo herd. And there's the amber eyes heading towards the male. I wonder if they've been mating.
Morning, I will
So let's go have a look. There might be some nice contact, rubbing of faces between them. So get ready with your screenshots. I've got my camera out and ready as well. There we go. Look at that. She's going to mate. Now that often happens at the beginning of mating. That's amber eyes. Look at that. Wasn't that incredible? So I was wondering if he was hanging around because one of the females was an estrus or a false estrus. And a cat's penis is barbed, so it can actually be quite painful. And when they mate, and that's why often male lions and male leopards will bite the nape of a female's neck. Isn't this incredible? She's coming right next to us. I mean, there we go. She's urinating right next to us. That should bring him in. We might get ready for this. Oh, he's going to chase them. Well, maybe it is Scrapper. He's got a very... No, it's not. I don't think so. Then what do you think?
I don't know.
Unfortunately, I haven't spent enough time with the Birminghams to know them that well, but he's got a very fresh scar across his right eye. He's so full, he probably can't eat anymore. But he's chased them off just to make sure they know who's boss. So Lucy in Columbus is wondering, is this not possibly the 3 Sticks lionesses that were with some Birmingham boys to the east of us yesterday? Lucy, at the same time, these lions were found. There were 4 lionesses not far from here yesterday with another Birmingham boy. So I'm pretty sure this is the Nkuhumas, and that one female very much looks like amber eyes. He's probably going to move this carcass into the shade now as it gets a bit warmer. So those 2 different lion sightings were running simultaneously. And Cheetah Plains is quite a long way from where we're here, although where they found the Nkuhumas with this Birmingham yesterday, much, much closer. Probably no more than 3 kilometers from here, so I'm very happy my predictions seem to have come true. Taking it off to the shade. We're going to drag it a little bit further into the shade there. So, Brenda in Virginia is wondering how many lionesses are now on the Kuma Pride. I think there's 4, possibly 5. I'm not 100% sure. As I said, I haven't seen them in months. And I think more than likely there's 4 adults. I'm not sure if one of those sub-adult females has survived. Look at that. And he's gonna try stuff his face some more. They have a very, very fast digestive system, so they are able to munch through mountains of meat. And Brenda's also wondering when was the last time Junior was seen. Brenda, I cannot answer you that. I haven't seen him in months. And with the Birminghams being spread out over the vast area they are, it's very unlikely that Junior will be around. If he probably hung around too long, it's very possible that the Birmingham boys would have killed him. RT males, and that's further to the north of us. So I think as far as I know, there's 4 lionesses or 5 lionesses possibly still left alive from the Nkahuma pride, and I think there's probably 4 or 5 Styx lionesses. They're not often together anymore, but seen in 2s and 3s. So we're probably looking at 2 to 1 actually, lioness to male lion, because obviously when they've come in, they've killed all the cubs. They've actually killed quite a few females as well, and that actually often happens during male lion takeovers, where they'll try to defend their cubs or territory from the new males. These new males are now pretty much set, and they are dominant males over the vast majority of the northern Sabi sands. So a coalition of 5 males, and there's probably 10, maybe 15 females in the area. 10 for sure, maybe a few more. There we go. Kevin, Anna Marie, and quite a few others say Scrapper or Tsotsi's damaged eye is his left eye, and this male has it on his right eye. So I think Scarface is a good one for him, because I think that will make quite a nice scar. So Blair Sinclair says this male was in a fight with one of his brothers in Mala Mala a few days ago. Now, that is very possible, and it's quite a nice fresh wound. Probably either fighting over food, more than likely fighting over mating rights. So even though they are coalition members, they will battle each other for mating with females. So there is dominance amongst the coalition, even though all of the males will eventually probably mate with all the females. And since that little bit of behavior we saw between him and one of the lionesses, probably means he won. And he's getting to do the mating first. And we must always be careful to refer to lion coalitions as brothers. It's often a very big misconception that male lion coalitions are related, as in direct brothers. Quite often there will be unrelated males that have joined, maybe 2 that are related, and another 2 or 3 that are related. So you will have unrelated members in a coalition. And also, it's a very, very easy presumption to make, but often a very incorrect presumption, that the dominant male lions in the area are the fathers of all the cubs you see. So in a lot of areas in Africa, the new research that's coming through, about 50% of cubs born to the prides are not to the dominant males of the area. There are male lions quite often. So old Junior, if he is alive and he's managed to get out of here, and he doesn't find another young male or a couple of other young males to join up with, he might adopt a different strategy, and certain male lions do this. They're almost permanently nomadic, and they sneak around the peripheries and will mate regularly with females. And so you have, and that also helps with genetic diversity. So often single male lions that aren't in big coalitions will become sort of sneaky maters and sneak around the edges, mating with females. And so quite often, as I said, 50% of the cubs in a pride are not the offspring of the dominant males. So while we sit here to see what plays out, I'm hoping once he's finished munching a little bit, he might meander over to the ladies looking for some loving. But till then, let's go see Scotty, who's still with Karula.
Well, who would have thought it would have got much better until the Birmingham male and that Inkahuma lioness attempted to do some mating, and let's hope that there's a little bit more of that before the end of the safari, as Brent says. Now, Karula has repositioned ever so slightly. Basically, her head was where her back feet are positioned now, basically, and she's just on a bit of a 180. Sadly, we've had to reposition the vehicle. Well, maybe it's not sadly, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, and we cannot see the duiker that is still alive, still struggling nearby, and clearly she has got no intentions of changing that for the time being. And it really is going to be interesting to see if she makes another move before the end of the sunrise safari. I'm not too sure what to think. Now, apologies, Julia. I only just got started answering your question before we had to race you across to that action with the lions. And just to remind everyone, she just picked up what it's called the duiker, the big pick, and that's why she's looking back in that direction. Now, for those of you who have just joined, Julia earlier asked, is it normal for Karula's nipples to be so prominently showing, or is it a sign of her pregnancy? And Julia, for an animal of this age, approaching 12, having given birth to many litters, it is not abnormal for their nipples to be prominent and easy to see. It's just when the angle is right, you get to see them more often. And I guess the fact that she's full-bellied will be helping to pronounce the fact that those nipples are in fact there, whereas if she was empty stomach, they would not be protruding as much. And again, it also complicates things because she's old. She's got this little bit of a flabby belly, extra tube on that back half of her stomach, and that looks similar to a young leopard who would be pregnant. So difficult to tell if she is carrying, at least it is difficult at this stage. The best sign to see that a leopard has in fact given birth, Julia, is when you can see the nursing ring. So when you look at those nipples, you can see a very distinctive suckle mark around them. And that's a sure indicator that a female's actually got cubs. Pregnancy and the prior stages can be quite tricky though, again, especially with an older female. Come on, Karula. Okay, we're going to send you back to the lions. There's more action there.
So, shame, one lioness has come and picked up a little scrap from where they were feeding earlier. I was hoping she might go try feed with the male, but I don't think that's in her best interest. He might get a bit aggressive with her.
Morning, go ahead. Oh yeah, just looking, that wasn't you, I thought. Oh, there's Karula on opposite east, and then
So she's just chewing on that, and there he is on the other side.
so yeah, just have the final control temperature and it's over your transmission. Did you go again?
So here we go, look at him. He's on the skin, and the other lionesses are lying down in the shade. Sorry guys, just need to be on the radio. Dave Afirm, the road off Buffelshoek, that runs from Buffelshoek cut line to the eastern side of Buffelshoek Dam, probably about 300 meters from the cut line itself, and you'll get our visual to the south of the road. Sorry about that, just letting the other guys know exactly where we are. So there's not too much meat left on this guy here. You can see the rib cage. Marie says this is the second time watching the safaris, and can you believe it, on her second drive, Karula with a duiker kill and the Nkahumas and a Birmingham male munching on what's left of a buffalo. You're very lucky. Safari would like to know why the lions don't attack us. They attack elephants sometimes that are much bigger than the vehicle. Well, Safari, it's a little bit of a longer discussion. I'll deal with the lions and elephants first. A lot of animal behavior is area specific, not species specific. So you probably would not find these lions ever going after elephants. I've never heard of lions attacking sort of teenage elephant in the Sabi Sands. They focus a lot more on buffalo, zebra, wildebeest, kudu. And the lions that are famous for hunting elephant are in Botswana, particularly along the Chobe, Kwondo, and the Nyanti areas, and also the Savuti. Now, there's a very important reason for this, that when the Savuti marsh dried up, the majority of the buffalo, zebra, and wildebeest moved away from that area, leaving only a lot of elephants in that area. So to adapt, that pride had to start hunting elephants. So obviously they can't move off too far, because if they did, they would move into another lion's territory. So because the elephants were the most predominant animal in their territory, and there wasn't a lot of other food around, they learned how to hunt elephants. So, and another good example of animal behavior being area specific rather than species specific is that the lions in the heart of the Okavango Delta will swim across deep channels and for 100 meters often at a time, whereas you probably couldn't get these lions to put their toe in a very small river. And it's obviously just the nature of the area that different animals occur in. But why they don't attack us in the vehicle? So if you think about it, a vehicle doesn't smell very nice. It smells of petrol and oil and brake fluid and grease. And to a lion, that isn't very, very appetizing. Also, vehicles have only been around for just over 100 years. And animals do not have an instinctive response to them. It is not something that is sort of in their DNA. Now, for an example, if I had to stand up in the vehicle, Vim had to stand up behind the camera, we would get a very different response from the lions. Now, the bipedal figure of man, so that upright, two-legged creature, has been the dominant diurnal predator on the African savannas for 200,000 years in current form. And before that, there have been other hominids and large apes that would have been the dominant daytime predators that would have been competing for lions. And we've evolved to be far more active, or be active during the day. And we are one of the only animals that is capable of operating in 100-degree Fahrenheit weather, 40 degrees Celsius. We can walk. We've got a very, very complex sweat system that helps us cool down, and so we don't overheat. Lions don't have that. If their core body temperature raises by a couple of degrees, they'll actually die. So they are very, very stationary during the heats of the day, while we are very mobile. And we both evolved like that to avoid confrontation. So very simply, a group of lions, a single man is an easy target for a group of lions, and vice versa, a group of men can easily kill a single lion. And basically that's why lions also developed into a social cat. They're the only social cat, and it's from being in direct competition with humans, who are a big social animal. So there's that reason when it gets dark at night that we want to go home. And that's basically from when we lived out in the African savannas. We wanted to get safe away from the lions. And if we happen to walk up to lions during the day, and 99% of the time they will run away. And that is their defense mechanism of dealing with us. So very, very interesting. But now, so I was saying, if we stood up in the vehicle, probably from here, and it's getting a bit hot, the lions would probably drop down, start growling, and maybe even run away. If we had to walk in here, I'm 100% certain that they would run away from us. So very interesting. At night, a different story. They will eat you. They are the dominant nocturnal predator. We are the dominant diurnal predator. So we've got our little niche that we fill out here. And also now a car only being just over 100 years old, there isn't that instinctive response. There isn't that hundreds of thousands of years of ingrained knowledge. And so if you drive carefully and considerately and you don't pressurize the animals, they become very used to the vehicles and sort of just treat them as a thing that's there, that's not to eat, it's just there. As you can see, they carry on with completely natural behavior, ignoring the vehicles while we're here. So Kush on YouTube's wondering, you see lions on kills and leopards, and they quite often lick the animal before starting to feed. There's a couple of different reasons. A lion's tongue is like sandpaper. I mean, if they had to lick us on our soft human skin in one spot, they would actually take the skin off. So what they're doing there is quite often they're just licking some of their hair out of the way before they start feeding. Unfortunately for them, they do swallow a lot of hair. The hair is keratin, and same as fingernails, and they're unable to digest that. So often they'll cough that up in hairballs. So on this animal, the stuff that a lion can't digest is the hair, the hooves, and the horns, which are all made up of the same substance. So a young buffalo like this, the lions will break up quite a few of the bones, but still some of the bigger leg bones will be too thick for them, and also probably some of the vertebrae. They will chew the edges off the vertebrae, the sort of wings that the muscles are attached to. There we go, he's doing that right now. You heard that crunch. There we go, you see he's using his molars and premolars to crunch and cut. Oh, he's got a bit of sinew stuck there. I must imagine lions, if they had the option, would need a lot of toothpicks. So Sharon in Pittsburgh has noticed that this lion's mane extends below the neck down to sort of his chest area, and she'd like to know how far can they extend. Again, that depends on the individual lions. Lioness is up again, and she hasn't got as much food as the other two lionesses. We see their bellies are much more full. She might try sneak in, and we could get a little bit of action if she does. But sorry, Sharon. So some lions' manes will extend all the way to their back legs even, but like there was that hairy-bellied Matimba. So the evolutionary reason for a lion's mane is protection. When they fight, obviously it protects the vulnerable areas around their neck. No, she's deciding discretion is the better part of valor. Wait for him to decide he's finished eating what he's got, and then she'll probably move in. So she looks like she might come look for a few more scraps around the kill site. There is a bit of meat right here next to us for him. Maybe she'll find that, it looks like. So that looks like where they caught it, right there, and started feeding, which is right next to the vehicle. We'll show you now. There we go, and you can still see there's a little bit of scrap meat. Ah, no, she's heading back towards the other ladies. So, oh, look at that. Some little face nuzzling. And very important with your social cats to do that and reaffirm the bonds between the different pride members. because often when they're feeding they forget their manners and beat each other up. Pam Shirley is wondering, will the lions eat the buffalo's hide, or will they leave it for other scavengers? Pam, it all depends on how hungry they are. Sometimes they will eat the hide completely, other times they'll leave it. Young buffalo like this, I think they might eat the hide. Now, I wonder where she's off to. There's one lioness walking off, and he's noticed, he looked like he might follow for a second, but not. I think she's probably just going to move a little bit down there, find a bit of deeper shade to have a snooze in. So this carcass is in an open seep-line clearing, so they will move off to where there's a bit better shade now that they've got some full bellies. So we're going to sit here, see what happens with the lions, and while we do that, let's go back to Scotty, who's still with Karula.
So, still some very tough images to process here. The duiker is in frame, it's keeping still at the moment, but it has been struggling quite a bit over the last few minutes. And imagine what a desperate situation that must be. Paralyzed, knowing that you've been caught, completely powerless. And I'm sure the initial shock is, or has worn out. So a terrible situation for that young duiker. Not too sure how young it is exactly, in that right there is a good sign, because a yawn is an indication that this leopard may be trying to increase the oxygen levels in its body just before it becomes active. And let's hope it's deciding to go and dispatch this baby duiker and put it out of its misery once and for all. Very good question that's just come through from Sean, who's watching in Canada. And Sean is interested to know what are the possibilities of this duiker having been injured before Karula arrived, and possibly by a snake bite, who knows. And Paul, it is possible, but I think it's highly, highly unlikely. And I'm fairly certain, the way we saw her pouncing, that she did need to in fact chase after the prey and then catch it. But then Sean would like to know, on top of that, what is the likelihood of a leopard scavenging? And very, very high. All the predators Sean will scavenge, and leopard are no different. Leopard will steal from one another. They'll steal from smaller predators. They'll even steal from a snake. And they'll even feed on snakes. I've seen snakes with python kills. An African rock python can be huge. And I've seen 4 or 5 meter pythons draped over branches of marula trees that have been killed and hoisted up there by leopards. So most certainly. And I must emphasize, Sean, that all predators will scavenge, not just the hyena. Lion will scavenge probably more than any of the others, because they are the top of the food chain, and they can bully leopard, they can bully hyena in certain situations, they can definitely bully cheetah and wild dog. And come on, Karula, it's time that you go and put this duiker out of its misery. Come on, let's hope that she goes there. I'm guessing she's going to. I don't think she would need to reposition. She's in the shade, and the only reason she would be moving is to go, and I'm hoping start feeding on that duiker. Come on, Karula. Now again, it may make for some difficult images. She is heading straight towards it, and there is a strong chance that this duiker will let off a few more bleats as it sees the leopard approaching, or as the leopard latches onto it. So So be warned, this could be quite a sensitive viewing. I know we don't have the best view, but I don't want to reposition the vehicle now. Wow. That is not the result I was hoping for, nor is it the result that duiker was hoping for. And I can't see exactly what's going on now. Let me see if I think now would be a good time to reposition. Try and work out what Karula's up to. We're going to send you back to the lions quickly.
So welcome back. We're still with this beautiful Birmingham boy, and with those wonderful scars on his face, lets you know he's a proper male lion, not just a poser. He gets stuck in, and there's a lioness who's trying to sneak closer. It's the hungry lioness. She's having a bit of a stretch against the tree there, cleaning her nails. There we go. She's definitely the most hungry of the three lionesses, so she's trying to get in there. And male lions can be very, very selfish when it comes to feeding. So many years ago, I was guiding in Botswana, and our first sort of drive out, we drove out and we found a big pride of lions on a zebra carcass, and we found them quite late in the morning on the morning safari. And the male lion was pretty much exactly like this. He was eating the carcass, and the lionesses were lying off to the side. And as it got hotter and hotter, the male lion then picked up on probably half a zebra, and he started dragging it towards where the lionesses was lying in the shade. And before I could explain what was going on, I had a guest from America, and she said, "Oh my goodness, look how sweet. He's taking the meat to his wives." He got about 4 meters from the lionesses. He dropped the meat, he ran and charged, beat up 3 of the lionesses, and then went back and took the meat and dragged it back into the shade. So he wasn't taking it to them. All he wanted was his shade. So you can see the lioness is up and down moving, and just trying to watch him to see if it looks like he's going to have a snooze and stop feeding. Debbie would like to know, do we keep a log to identify the different individual lions and leopards? We keep a log for Panthera Research Organization that we update every day, so they can maintain a sort of idea about the lions and the leopards in the area. For most of the lions and leopards that we see regularly, we will know 90% of the time who they are because of where their territories are, and we do spend a lot of time in this area, so it's a bit easier for us. There we go, he's left the carcass. I think he's going to go try and mate with that female again, the same one who gave him a good hiding a bit earlier. He's looking for the ladies, And you'll probably find that hungry lioness will probably try to sneak in if he lies down here or moves further towards the ladies. We're just gonna try and make sure we're in the right position. See immediately that other lioness on her way straight to the carcass. Here come the lionesses. Let's just get a little bit wider so we can see what's going on here. Just gonna move into position. That one looks like she's coming into mate. You can see her flirting. That's lioness flirting. There we go. Lioness flirting. Oh, and he's not too interested. It looks like he's rather looking for a piece of shade. And the girls are moving in towards the carcass. And he's going to go flop down. He's disappeared into some thick shade. See, they're checking, making sure he doesn't change his mind and come back and chase them before they start feeding. So they're watching him. He's actually moved now. He's parallel to them. There he is. Making sure he doesn't change his mind and come back in and chase them. Looks like we're going to start feeding, so let's move back up a little bit. How's that feel? That'll do. So wonderful to be having Puma Pride back on the property. As I said, we haven't seen them in months, and this is the first lions we've seen since the 24th of December. So exciting times, back with the big cats. So we had a question from Macy who would like to know, do lioness roar, or is it only the males? No, both sexes roar, and the females will roar to protect their territory from other females, like the males. So, but interesting enough, males can often dominate over more than one pride. So even though they have the same sort of dominant males, the lionesses will defend their individual territories against the lionesses. And that Birmingham's sort of just disappearing now. I didn't expect him to walk that far with a belly that size. Oh, we just lost sight of him. He just disappeared quite far into the bush there. Hopefully he doesn't move off too far. And he'll be around for the sunset safari. And the third lioness, who seems to have got the best deal out of the buffalo, by the size of her belly, is heading in. So Carl, who's a South African who is living in New York, is watching Safari Live and the lions with some American friends, and they would like to know, how many flies do lions eat in a meal? Well, probably not too many. The flies tend to get out of the way. On bigger buffalo carcasses, I suppose you could say they do eat flies, but it would be the maggots, the fly larvae that they would be feasting on. And lions and leopards are not adverse to eating completely rotten meat, and something that's been possibly sitting in the sun for weeks. Probably not weeks in the heat we have out here, but definitely days. there's going to be very little left of this buffalo by the end of today, if anything at all. Lael in Washington would like to know, do they eat anything that cleans their teeth? Well, Lael, just the general use of how they use their teeth. Munching and crunching on bones does a lot of the cleaning for them. So they don't feed on any particular plant or anything like that that's going to help them clean their teeth. Anne-Marie says these lions don't seem to be arguing over food that much. It's probably because the two of the lionesses and the male have done quite a lot of the eating, and it's only the one lioness really who didn't get as much of the food, so that's probably why they're not arguing. The other two aren't as hungry. So, Jennifer in Missouri would like to know, is the lioness who's not eating just looking out for the one that is? No, Jennifer. Being a social animal, they quite like to be close to each other, but she's not watching out for the one who is eating. So Carol in Florida would like to know why lionesses stay with a male if he treats them so badly. Carol, you must realize that these are wild animals and we can't humanize them. And that male lion, even though what we perceive as bad treatment, dominates and patrols an area around here to keep other males lions out. And basically, if you're a wild animal, and for quite a lot of the people in the world, you have a very few main objectives, and that's to keep well fed and to procreate. And so the lionesses are unable to do the second option without the male. And oh my goodness, we're going to cross across to Scotty, who's got possibly one of the strangest sightings we've ever had on Safari Live.
Now, this is a first for me. And I know it's not easy to see at the moment, but there's two chameleons mating. Can you believe it? And big thanks to Ephraim, who miraculously spotted them as they bobbled from side to side in this bush willow tree. It's just a tangle of chameleon at the moment, but hopefully, if we're just a little bit patient, we'll get a few better views. Oh, there you go. Well done, Tebs. Found what looks to be the lady. The female's bigger than the males. And that's generally the case with chameleons. And this is the flap-necked chameleon. It's the only chameleon that we get in this area, so impossible to confuse with anything else. And it looks like the female is actually trying to get rid of the male, so I'm not sure. There, she succeeded. There's the unlucky male who's gone, oh, can you believe that? Did he drop to the ground?
He's in the middle there. He's in the middle. Like looking like it.
Oh, but he did drop though.
Yeah, she pushed him.
So Ephraim's guests kindly are helping tell us what's going on here. So you would have seen her peck him on the head there. Incredible. She was not interested in that, and possibly this male chameleon may find himself on the wrong side of the law this morning. And he probably fell down about a foot before he managed to clamber back onto a branch. I'm just going to try and creep forward a little bit more.
Absolutely awesome. So who would have thought that chameleons would have upstaged a leopard kill?
There we go. That's a better view. So this is the male, and isn't it remarkable how he can change color? Now, I'd suggest taking screenshots because you'll be able to compare just how quickly he transforms. From this grey color, I'm guessing he's going to probably head back towards a greenish, more neutral color once things calm down. And if things heighten and get more aggressive, he'll probably go black in coloration. Tebs, why don't you go a little bit further up and find a female, because it's remarkable the contrast in coloration between the male and the female. Look at that, she's hard to see, but she's dead center in the middle of the shot. And look at how they kind of bob and weave as they move, and that's to simulate looking like a leaf that's blowing in the wind so that predators don't detect them. This is absolutely awesome. She's disappeared, but the male, I think, is still in a spot where we can see him.
She's right on the top of it. Running away from him for sure.
Well, we've just got a comment through from Kitchen, and I think, Kitchen, you're right, that the female got exactly what she wanted by getting rid of this male, who's still thinking about pursuing her. And Kitchen mentioned that she threw him down to the curb. I think he only got halfway down to the curb, sadly, as he miraculously managed to grip back on. But wasn't that wonderful to see how she really did attempt to teach him a lesson? And Raid Freak says this kind of treatment is the story of his life. I'm sorry to hear that you are getting pecked on the head by females when trying to court them. That is not a good situation to be in, and I apologize for that situation that you find yourself in. Well, I can't see the female anymore. Apologies, Red Freak. You're a lady, so it's not a man that's getting the apologies. I'm getting confused here. Anyway, glad we've cleared that up. That you are a male and you are being attacked by women when you try and court them. Maybe you are using too forceful a technique like this male. I'm not convinced that the female chameleon had given consent to what we just witnessed. And you guys are throwing through some fairly controversial questions, so I'm going to refrain from answering them before I get into trouble from either of the male or the female sexes. So I'm going to remain neutral, but you guys are more than welcome to keep answering amongst yourselves, whether you watching on YouTube and commenting on that feed or on Twitter. Just wanted to try and reposition and see if we can't get a view of this female. I'm happy to see that the male has kind of calmed down. Just look back over my right shoulder to make sure Karula hasn't returned to the duiker kill. Chameleons are masters of disguise and disappearing, and this is a great example of exactly how well they do that. Can't see too much from this angle, but let me just reposition the vehicle. Give me a moment. Okay, let's try and work out
Who's where? Okay, the male Tibbs I can see. Sure, it's so difficult in here. But the male is in there somewhere. Okay. If you go a little bit higher up, he's just a little bit above where you are. If you zoom in there, you'll get him. I think. It's hard for me to see clearly on the monitor, but I'm fairly confident he is in that little spot that you're on, Sebs. Whew. Tricky business. What's remarkable is how that female's just managed to disappear so well. Possibly so well that now the male doesn't know where to find her. But he is slowly making his way further up this tree. But I can't work out who's where and what's at the moment. But wasn't that remarkable? And maybe Nikki and Kirsty in the final control could put together a little slow motion clip of that female pecking the male on the head. That'll be nice to see that slow down a little bit. It all happened so quickly that I battled to see exactly what happened. And the girls are already busy preparing that clip, so we'll just wait patiently for them to get that ready for you guys. Now let's try and work out again where this male chameleon is, because I know we can find it. So this branch over there, Tibbs, if we follow that up a little bit more, there's the male through there, somewhere through here. But we've got different angles. Yeah, you can see him, and it's difficult to see, but he is in the center of your shot there. You can possibly, if you just go a tiny bit higher, Tibbs, we might be able to see his head. Yeah, he is dead center in the middle of your shot, but incredibly difficult to see. At least you've got the male. Huh.
Yes, I can see. It looks like a branch.
And he's doing a great job using those chromatopores, which are the different little pigment cells that a chameleon will dilate or increase with certain different colors in order to blend with their surroundings. He's stayed this brown color, which is the color of the branches that he's on. The female was using a different technique of blending in more with the leaves with that green coloration, and I think she's winning because she is the one that's disappeared completely from all of our view. The good news is you guys are about to get a treat and watch the slow motion clip of this female teaching the male a lesson. Enjoy. Well, I'm sure you all enjoyed that slow-mo clip. What would have been interesting is if you may have seen a flash of orange as she struck down on him, and that flash of orange would have been from under her throat, and it's a large contribution to why they are called the flap-necked chameleon. When they are feeling distressed or concerned, they will flare out this flap below their throat, which has bright orange coloration when expanded. So you may have got a flash of that, but it all happened so quickly, I'm not too sure. Well, it's been an incredible morning, a lot of surprises. Certainly didn't expect to see Karula catching a duiker right in front of us live, and was also pleasantly surprised by the fact that there was also some lion on the property. Finally, some lion have come to visit us on Djuma, and not just visits, put on a serious show with a buffalo kill with some kind of intermittent potential mating. Let's take a look through the gap here. You can actually see quite clearly from where we are where the duiker is, which is on the kind of bottom of your screen now, and the leopard lying there beyond it, and some crested francolins busy grooming themselves, just like the leopard is beginning to groom itself now. The francolins are sitting on that fallen down tree. Not tree shame, you can see the duiker still moving and struggling on the foreground there. So, morning of unexpected scenes, but we are incredibly fortunate to be all here together, sharing these experiences and memories together, because this has been a morning for the memory books, that's for certain. Okay, everyone, well, a very big thank you to all of your contributions, involvement, and joining us on the Sunrise Safari. We've all been spoiled. To those of you who phoned your friends and tried to urge them to join us, thank you for that. Keep doing that. We really do appreciate it. And looking forward to the Sunset Safari. Great prospects for later on today. Over to Brent.
So, while you're with Scott and those incredible mating chameleons, another lioness joined, and they did have a little bit of an argument, lots of growling and slapping, but nothing too serious. What is she seeing? What's behind us, Phil? Oh, there's a hooded vulture that's just landed on the ground right behind us. And it almost looked like that lioness was ready to chase it.
Okay.
So, 2 vultures have just descended in the last 5 minutes. So he's right on the carcass, where the carcass was, picking on the scraps, and there's a possibility she might chase it. There we go. She's stalking the vulture. See her ears going flat a little bit. The vulture decided discretion is the better part of valor. If she comes in to where the lioness or the other 2 are, there might also be a bit of growling. And maybe had a little bit of an argument. There's very little left of that buffalo. So, Clown Sharon says, with lions being back, is that problems for the impala and wildebeest babies? It is possible, Sharon, that could lead to problems for them. But at the moment, they're quite far from where the wildebeest herd normally hangs out. We're right down sort of in the northeastern corner of Djuma. I am hoping they stay on Djuma, but they are very close to 2 different boundaries, the eastern and the northern. So, oh, there we go, growling. See, as one comes closer. So, what an incredible morning it's been. Lion, leopard, chameleons, buffalo, and I can't believe we just missed those lions hunting the buffalo, but that's the way the bush goes. It is live and we can't pre-plan everything, and it just happened this time to be a little bit unlucky, but hopefully next time we might be there from start to finish. But great to have some of the Nkahuma girls back and a Birmingham boy around. And hopefully they'll still be here on the Sunset Safari. So for the last few seconds of drive, let's have a look at these girls.